Everyone, it's John Orlando from the PVD Cast, and I wanted to take a few moments of your time to let you know where you can find the PVD Cast. The online home of yours truly, PVDcast.com, is a great place to go, but it's also available through all the major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, etc. There's also live broadcasts of the PVD Cast every single week. Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern through the Facebook page of the PVD Cast, and Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. through the Scene Snobs Facebook page. And no matter how you listen, please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. And with that, I will chat at each and every one of you later.
The Jeff Dwoskin Show presents Crossing the Streams with host Jeff Dwoskin, Bob Phillips, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Sal D'Amelio, and Zach Wiseman, and today's special guest. Thank you for joining us as we talk about what we are streaming. Right here on Crossing the Streams. And now, live for your entertainment, it's The Showcase. Hosted by the big man with the big heart, Mick Manhattan.
Episode may contain inappropriate material. Listener discretion is advised.
everybody. Welcome to another fabulous edition of Mattalk. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for you to sit back, grab your coffee, pudding, whatever it is you want to enjoy while listening to John and I discuss the world's greatest detective show, even though he's not a detective, but he's one hell of a lawyer, and that's all that matters. And yes, we get more with Keen Holiday in this episode. I am, of course, talking about Tyler and Matlock, and this is Mattalk with John and Jason. I'm so excited to see what John thought. This episode didn't have as much comedy.
No, it did not. But you know what? It did have a lot of positive things, and let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's hold on to those comments. But you know what? Let's talk real quickly, Jason, about something that we took part in over the weekend. The Scene Snobs. Mick Manhattan put together what I guess you could call like a telethon, but instead of using telephones, it was all done, virtual, a podcast-a-thon, I guess you could call it, to help out a small little dog by the name of Brady, who unfortunately has some eye issues. And I had a good time. I know you had a good time with the Three Geeks podcast. I was on there as the PVD cast. We should have done a live Mattalk.
We could have sat there and watched the whole episode and gave commentary. We could have gone back to the Judge episode, and we could have just provided commentary for it, because I know that one is on YouTube. And that could have been a fun 45 minutes or so. But your video, man, had me rolling on the floor laughing when I wasn't checking out the DVDs in the background. And the only reason I knew they were house is because it has like a solid color, and then it has just like a little bit where the color changes. Then it goes back to the original color for the rest of the set. And that was a good eye.
Well, you are good. You are good at spotting DVDs, man. There's that old adage that in Hollywood you never work with children and animals because they'll upshow you. And I decided to work with an animal, old Charlie. He was certainly a handful to deal with. That, by the way, for those folks that are probably wondering what the heck we're talking about, my girlfriend has a Newfoundland. She has multiple Newfoundlands, and those are very large dogs. And I decided to do my little part of the podcast-a-thon with Charlie as my guest, my co-host, and oh boy, it was an outing. We'll just say that.
What's nice is we did top 5 animals, and of course, the only right answer for number 1 was Winnie the Pooh, but that's not here nor there. The thing that's fascinating about the whole thing, fundraisers, we hit our goal by 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that people donated whatever they could donate, $1, $5, $10, whatever. And that's great. That goes to a really good cause. All the money's going there. And, as I said on my little part of the podcast-a-thon, anytime I can use my talents for something good, so to speak, you know what I mean? Like using them to help somebody, I always enjoy it. And that was certainly the case. Just last night, as a matter of fact, as we're recording this Saturday afternoon, it happened Friday night. And hats off to Mick for arranging all of that over on the Scene Snobs, which you can always catch the replay of past editions of Mattalk Saturdays at noon on the Scene Snobs Facebook channel. Just search for the Scene Snobs, and you can watch it right there, as well as all the other great podcasts that are on their network.
Yeah, there's something that's the Scene Snobs are doing that we don't do, is they're airing them weekly. So John and I are going to have to come up with something creative once we get caught up to real time for the off weeks of Mattalk.
Don't worry. We'll figure something out.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyways,
we're good. But no, one of the things that impressed me about the live thing last night is once we hit our goal, Mick didn't stop. He just pivoted. He said, all right, we hit our goal. There's a place here. There's a cat that needs open heart surgery. So everything we make close to $1,200. Like he was setting it up, contacting people to make sure this could all work. And he's like, so anything over $1,200 is going to go to this cat that needs heart surgery.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Like I said, it was a great idea. And again, I was happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
With that being said, we're ready to dive into this episode, are we?
Yes, we are. I'm ready to testify.
You're early on that, but that's okay.
Testify.
All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our opening statements. The episode that we're going to review and discuss is called The Convict, and it originally aired on February 10th, 1987. Jason, there are a ton of guest stars for this episode. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Let's start off with the man playing the role of Sam Dolan, Robert Pine. Now, if you're like me, you may remember Robert Pine as Sergeant, I believe it's pronounced Getrer from the show Chips.
I've never seen Chips.
Really? All right. Well, then you won't be impressed that our next guest star is Larry Wilcox, who plays the role of Les Matthews, who played Officer John Baker on Chips.
They like to just get their guest stars all from one television set, right?
I guess for this episode, yeah. I actually wrote down here in my notes, do the Chips guys have it written in their contract that they get to appear together in the episode? Because
they said the same thing with Jake and the Fat Man. Do they just call like the showrunner of Chips and say, hey, we got a couple guest spots coming up. I need you to send your cast over. We're just going to use a few of them, and then we'll send them right back, just like we did with the Jake and the Fat Man guys.
The funny part is, too, that, like, I think they tried to change his look, Larry Wilcox, by giving him that terrible mustache, which, oh, my God.
The mustache looked fine.
No, it didn't. It looked horrible.
He did not look like a pervert or a creep or a guy driving a big van.
Okay, we're going to agree to disagree on that, but you know what? There's some more awful facial hair we'll get to in a little bit, too, because there's a scene that I was like, God, what is that? Our next guest star is David Lander, who plays the role of Eli, and he is probably most known for playing Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley.
That guy looks so familiar, and I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
I've seen Laverne and Shirley. It's connected to Happy Days.
Which, that's what I was going to say, which you should already be aware of, because it's like a spin-off of Happy Days.
Yep, which starred
Penny Marshall.
No, the director.
Ron
Howard, who played Andy Griffith's son. See, another 2 degrees of separation to Matlock already.
All right. Our last guest star is one that I don't know if many people know, but is Nick Cassavetes, who plays the role of Foley. He was in Face Off, The Astronaut's Wife, The Hangover, Part 2, Blow. But more importantly, he is the son of the very famous director and actor John Cassavetes, who, of course, was in a lot of different movies back in the 60s and 70s, probably most known for the films Faces and A Woman Under the Influence. So you got a little, I guess you could say, second-generation Hollywood royalty here with Nick Cassavetes.
Yeah.
All right, then. Jason, are you ready to give an opinion? Your opinion. An honest opinion. So help you?
Always do.
Then it's time to...
testify!
All right.
It's like I'm at church at a Baptist church on a Sunday like I used to. Yes, let's go.
You went to a Baptist church? I did not know that about you.
Yeah,
I learned something. Folks, look what we learn on Mattalk. I did not know.
My grandfather, or my great uncle, is a Baptist minister. He's got a YouTube channel, Gary Stats. Check him out. STAATS.
Wow, the revelations, pun intended, keep coming. Wow. All right. Well, let's talk about the plot of this episode, The Convict. A former client of Ben's kills another inmate while in jail, trying to protect himself, and Ben takes on the case in a chance at redemption for the first trial. That, are you ready for this, folks? You better hold on to your socks. Ben Matlock lost the first case.
I wish this had been a 2-parter and we'd actually seen the whole episode where he had lost the case, because I would have loved that. I would have loved that as a 2-parter, even if it took place 7 years prior, even though nobody seemed to age differently at all between the 7 years, but that's neither here nor there. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that was they buried the lead a little bit on this episode. I agree, Jason. A 2-parter would have been good. Yeah. Well, let's jump on into the first thing that we're going to see. We're going to get an opening scene of 3 soldiers, pals, who would be the focus of the episode. They had served in Nam together. Now they're back home, and they decided to build a business together. What lame special effects did they have for the thunderstorm? And to be honest with you, does it really rain that much in Atlanta?
Apparently it does.
No, I don't think it does.
At least in 1988 it did.
All I got to say is they must have had a big budget for the rain. because there seemed to be an awful lot of rain throughout the entire episode. All right, but I digress. We get sort of like a flashback as the early scene where somebody, we find out later it's John, gets shot, and then we go to just the very end where Les is convicted, and Ben tries to console him. But here's my question, and I don't know, Jason, why not get an appeal?
That is a good question. He said he would, but apparently he never looked at the case again for 7 years.
Right, that's the thing. That was the big loophole. I'm like, you said you were going to have an appeal, so there's no, the appeal got turned down, or, I mean, listen, let's be jaded for a minute. I don't know about you, Jason, but you hear in the news all the time about this criminal or that criminal getting convicted and doing an appeal, and the appeal gets shot down, they do another appeal, and they do like 17 appeals, all on our taxpayers' dollar. Like, why couldn't they do that for this guy?
Good question.
Very good question. Other than this is a fictional court case and we're talking about the real world. That's the answer. All right. 7 years later, Les is up for parole and he gets it. And so as he takes a trip to the library, a gentleman by the name of Lashley attacks Les. And Les ends up killing Lashley in self-defense. And that means kiss your parole goodbye. Jason, what do you think about this action sequence we saw between Les Matthews and the guy named Lashley?
It was something taken straight out of Fast and Furious.
Really? All right. It wasn't very spectacular, let's be honest.
No.
I don't know if they have a fight coordinator on set for Matlock.
I knew how it was going to end. As soon as that guy came in with the knife, I'm like, oh, crap, this guy's going to end up accidentally stabbing him, and then he's going to get blamed for it, and we're going to be back on trial, and Matlock's going to come through and try to save the day again, but will be.
And you know what? We were right. You were right on that one. Okay, so here's a little bit of comedy. As you mentioned, and I agree, there's not a lot of comedy in this episode, and there's like one attempt that I'm like, that's not even funny. I know that was probably an attempt at laughter, or at a joke, but yeah. Ben is ranting about his newspaper, and this did make me smile because it's all wet, and I'm giving you all my money. It's supposed to be wrapped in plastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was good. Angry Ben is pretty good at times. But while he's ranting about it, he realizes that there's an article about Les Matthews, and he feels a need to redeem his loss. And so he gets Charlene on the phone and says, go get the files to the Matthews case. And she retorts with, oh, that's the one you lost. Charlene, why are you poking the angry bear? Why?
Poor Charlene.
What'd you think about this scene with the wet newspaper and then Charlene's quip and whatnot?
I was like, oh, God, I remember when that used to happen. People would get so mad. Because I had a paper route too. I mean, I only did it for like a week, but I had one for a week. And man, if the paper got accidentally wet for whatever reason, it was not a good day in Worthington, Ohio.
Wait a minute, time out. You had it for a week? Why'd you only have it for a week?
I quit.
Jason, you're a quitter? Is that what you're saying?
It was the fake newspaper. It was like the Worthington newspaper.
Oh.
That you didn't think anybody, you got donations, not... I made like 50 cents doing that.
Look, I don't know if any listeners are out there familiar with this setup, but in Central Ohio, every little community had their own newspaper. It was like 12 pages. That was it. And most of it was just ads for local businesses. It kind of was lame. And I think, thank goodness, due to budget, issues with these different publishers, they stopped making them because, they were pretty worthless. Okay, never mind. It wasn't the Columbus Dispatch.
I did do the Columbus Dispatch paper out like 6 times, substituting for a friend, and that was enough because that was a full-time job. Okay. You have to get up and you have to put the Sunday ads in with the paper, and it is a whole thing.
And you were like, I'm not going to fill in for this person ever again.
Apparently not, because I did it 5 more times.
Wasn't that bad.
I was so mad that I volunteered to do it, but I kept going back because they were cool.
All right. Well, our next scene in this episode of Matlock has Ben going to the police station, and he goes to talk to his I guess you could say pal and also confidant, Bob Brooks. And what in tarnation is on Bob Brooks's face? That beard is weird.
Yeah. Way to quote MGK, John.
Serious, like that, it was horrible looking. I'm like, dude, I'm glad that you don't. I know in later episodes he doesn't have the beard, but who thought that was a good idea? I don't know. Some people can pull off the beard, right? Like you, like me, like other people. But there are some people that can't pull off the beard. You would think somebody in wardrobe would go, psst, psst, David Froman, could you come here, please? Hey, David, look, what are you doing? Here's a razor, here's some Barbasol, go take care of this. But I digress. So Ben meets Les in jail, and he kind of confesses about how he messed things up in the first case. And there's kind of a little bit of a back and forth between Les and Ben. I liked the interaction of these two characters. I thought that Andy Griffith and Larry Wilcox did a very good job of playing off of one another. And after some consternation, Les says that Ben is his lawyer because his pals had got him a different one, and he's sticking with Ben Matlock. So what do you think about the interaction between Andy Griffith and Larry Wilcox?
I thought it was good. I've never seen Ben really, because in some cases he was kind of begging to be the lawyer, because one, he knows he's a better lawyer than whoever the schmuck is that they got. Unless it's Perry Mason, there's like no chance that he could even be on the same level as Ben Matlock. And secondly, he wanted to make up for the past because he knew this dude was innocent.
Yeah, and I think that was what, for me, was probably the biggest positive. I know I'm jumping ahead, but the biggest positive of this episode was that idea that I got to have that redemption. So I like that too.
I got a question though.
Sure.
7 years parole on a murder, is that really a possibility?
You know what? I got to say that I think yes. I think it is. Depending on if he got like 15 years, 15 to life, that would probably be accurate. I'm no lawyer, but I know that they, if you got that type of sentence, they sometimes whittle it down. So, and they explained the whole thing that he was a model prisoner and blah, 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 and all that jazz. I mean, I think it's plausible.
Okay. Learn something new every day.
We're learning a lot today, aren't we? A lot. One thing that we're learning that I wish I didn't know is that Ben likes to cut his toenails in the office. Gross! Old man, what are you doing? That's gross.
Is it?
Dude, to whip your feet out in the middle. Look, this is a professional environment. You just don't whip out your toes and start clipping your nails.
John, when you reach a certain level of success and you know that people are going to be knocking down your door because you win a court case every week, you can pull out your feet and clip your toenails. It's not going to scare the clients away.
Okay, good point. I guess you could pretty much do anything. You could trim nose hairs. You can pluck eyebrows, whatever. Okay, whatever personal grooming.
Like a 98% chance this guy's getting you off.
True. I did enjoy the banter between Ben and Charlene, and then enter for the first time of the episode Tyler Hudson, and he says that he found out that Lashley was mobbed up, and then as if it's not obvious enough, we find out that Ben has a plan, and that plan involves what? Tyler going to jail.
Yep, death warrant style. They're sending an undercover man in.
I forgot about Death Warrant. I forgot about that movie.
How can you forget about Larry's in it?
I know, but it's I forgot all about.
It's one of my top 5 Van Damme films.
Really?
Yeah, I love that movie.
All right. Is sudden death on that top 5 list? Because if so,
yes.
We can't be friends.
It is.
What? Okay, never mind.
Die Hard in a hockey rink? Who's the big actor in that movie? Sudden death. These people love it when we go on fun tangents. Let me just pull this up real quick.
Powers Booth. It was Powers Booth was the bad guy.
Yeah. How can you not like this movie? Van Damme versus Tyler Booth or Powers Booth? You're out of your freaking mind. It's Die Hard in a hockey rink. You love hockey.
I know. That's why I don't like it, because it just kind of was, it was hokey.
You like hockey and you like 80s action movies, John. This movie was made for you.
All right. You know what? We're going to table this conversation for another time because we need to get back to the awesomeness that is Tyler Hudson. Because I love how once he gets day one, he's not in that prison 15 minutes, and he's trying to be all smooth and suave with the prison guard, like, you know who this guy is, and like that prison guard's not having it, not whatsoever. Okay, enter a new character. His name is Roger Bundy. I will try not to make any King Kong Bundy or Married with Children references, but no promises, folks.
Buck Bundy was on my top 5 dogs list yesterday for Married with Children.
Ooh, yeah, okay. All right, nice. Roger Bundy is in court to support Les. And I got to be honest, Jason, this is one of 2 instances where I was like, why is this scene here? But kudos to the production team. They managed to fit it right into the plot later on. And so while it seemed weird at the time, it comes back to it's a callback, if you will, and we'll find out that there's a rhyme and reason to it. So Ben confronts Sam because Ben thinks that Lashley was hired by Sam to kill Les. I don't know about you, Jason, but I thought there was some really good acting here between Robert Pine and Andy Griffith. What do you say?
Yeah, yes, very much so. This episode had a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Ben later shows up at Andrea Coulter's home. Now, her husband was John, who was gunned down, as we saw at the beginning of the episode. And they do a little interview, and this is another instance. This is the second instance where I'm like, what is he doing? They zoom in on the newspaper, which is an old newspaper, which I didn't get that, first of all. I totally missed that. I missed the date on it. And I also missed the idea, and I was so puzzled. What's he doing looking at all the clocks? Because there were like 2 clocks on the mantle, and he's like, oh, look at this clock. It's a beaut, blah, 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 blah. And again, much like Roger Bundy showing up, I was very confused.
Yeah, that's why we're not investigators. when you walk into a room, they're observant of everything. Because if somebody's not keeping track of their clocks and all of their magazines and newspapers are outdated, odds are that they're not living there.
Okay, which is a little spoiler to what we're going to get into in a few minutes. So we go back to prison. Goons attack Eli in jail about Lashley's book of contacts. And I guess this book is full of names and phone numbers and addresses and whatnot. And a fight breaks out among Tyler and Eli versus the goons. And this is going to be the kind of the setup for Eli to start trusting Tyler because Eli gets busted up a little bit. Tyler gets help for him and whatnot. So here we go. Ben, on a very rainy night, which pretty much was every night in this episode, follows Andrea to another house and finds out that Bundy and her are having an affair. And this is exactly what you said, Jason. One of the things Ben remarks about is that if you're going to use another house for front, you need to have updated magazines and you need to make sure your clocks are correct. Make it look like you're living there.
Yeah, you can't just dust.
No, you can't just dust. Yeah. I thought there was a great cross-examination between Ben and Officer Green, and then Ben and the illiterate Foley. Who would have thunk that dude can't read or write?
Wait, what did you say? I heard read and write.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise that Foley could not read or write because he claimed he was in the library to get books, and then Ben was like, well, read this passage. And he's like, I can't.
I don't want to read that. Objection. Sustained. Sit down. Or overruled. Sit down. Shut up. Go ahead and read it, sir. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you for the reenactment. That's awesome. By the way, I still gonna throw this out there. And folks, let us know whether you would like to hear this or not. I want to do an ensemble read of some of that Ben Matlock fan fiction. Like we could play the different parts. We get some other folks to come on and join us. It'll be fun, don't you think?
Yeah, we could have Max play Tyler, and we could even just get one of the scripts from the show and just reenact that.
We could. I was thinking the fan fiction seems to be a little bit shorter, but no, yeah, most def. Oh yeah. So folks, just for giggles, let us know if you think that you would like to see that.
You can email us at Ben, B-N-M-A, benmattalk@gmail.com. That is benmattalk@gmail.com.
All right. We go back to the office, and Charlene believes that the books of the corporation that Sam and Les and everybody was involved in might reveal a clue. And then we see that Tyler has convinced Eli to give up Lashley's book. And then the following scene, all these scenes are real short, a real kind of rapid fire, if you will. We see that Ben calls Bundy's private unlisted phone number, and that's where it starts coming together that somehow Lashley's little black book has this private phone number for Bundy in it, and that kind of starts putting the puzzle together, so to speak. But the one puzzle they didn't answer, how did Tyler get out of jail?
He just left. He just got up and left. The Sandman wasn't there to stop him from leaving, like in Death Warrant. He just got up and was like, guys, I'm really just a private investigator. I don't know how I ended up here. Got drunk one night and stumbled in. So I'm going to leave now. And they said, oh, so sorry, sir.
You know what? Somebody recognized him. They go, that's Tyler Hudson. That man shouldn't be in this place. Yeah, they all let him out.
If this show was made today, Tyler would have had a lot harder time getting out of the jail.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Ben goes to Andrea again, and they chat about the length of the affair. And Andrea talks about how when she discovered her dead husband, Bundy happened to show up, and there was this question about the rain. And bottom line, I wrote this in capital letters. How dumb are you, Andrea? Like, Roger Bundy just shows up right after your husband's killed. I think you might question whether he did it or not. And I know that they kind of was, well, he parked his car a couple blocks away because they're having the affair and his car couldn't be seen. Blah, 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 blah. Right, I get that. But still, like, it's kind of, I think you would be able to go, well, maybe this guy should be a suspect. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I'll just date him instead.
She waited till he left to call the cops, one, so she might have known in the back of her mind. And two, when you love somebody, because, you know, obviously the affair was going on prior to that moment. And, you know, maybe she just was like, he wouldn't do that.
Okay, I guess so, but it doesn't explain why she was so shocked in the courtroom next. That, you killed him! Yeah, I mean, did you not kind of put two and two together on that one?
Benefit of the doubt, I think.
All right, well, in the courtroom, we find out that indeed that private phone number in Lashley's book does kind of lead to some suspicion about Mr. Bundy. Bundy has been cooking the books and stole $4.2 million from the corporation. Jason, do you want to let us know what that would be, you know, in today's money?
$4.2
million in 1987. While you do that, I will throw in that I did enjoy the additional flashback of the murder of John Coulter. I thought that was really neat how they kind of seamed that in there. But it was found out that Bundy hired Lashley to kill Les to cover up his affair and the other crimes. And Jason, how much is $4.2 million nowadays?
It is the equivalent of $2,302,658. So roughly $10 million.
Whoa. So $4.2 million in 1987 is worth $10 million now. Wow. That's a lot of cash.
Roughly.
Anyways.
Close to probably to 9.5, but.
Oh, well. Okay. So we're in that 9 to 10. It's almost double, you'll say. Right?
Yeah, more than double.
Well, I'm not a mathematician, so. Okay. So what'd you think of this final courtroom scene, Jason?
I liked it. It was longer than most of the courtroom scenes in Matlock. It was about 8 minutes long, and I liked it profusely. I liked it a lot. I love courtroom. I love it when anything is in a courtroom.
Yeah, and this was really well done. So, and very well acted. It was real good. So Les is found not guilty. This is the part that I think there was some comedy was supposed to be happening, but it just fell flat. Because, like, Les says something about, oh, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Charlene. And Tyler goes, yeah, thank me. And I'm like, was that supposed to be funny? Because he's smiling in that. But I'm like, is it funny? Like, I thought it was really bad. It fell flat. Like, was it supposed to be, hey, thank me because I'm the one that put my butt in prison for you? You know,
I think it's more like, you son of a you should be thanking me. I'm the one who got that black book. I'm the guy who has to do all the running around. Didn't throw Charlene in there.
No.
Think about what happened to me at dark. Huh? Did you think about that? Lights out.
Hey now. I think that this prison was not one of those type of prisons like on the show Oz, okay, where bad things happen when lights go out. I think this is a kinder, gentler prison, I'd like to think.
It's one of the few wholesome prisons.
Few wholesome prisons. In fact, I think that's what it was called, Wholesome Prison.
There's a song by Johnny Cash called Wholesome Prison.
No, it's Folsom.
I know. You could sing Wholesome Prison to the same tune, though.
You could. Wholesome Prison. Okay. Maybe we'll write a song for Wholesome Prison for the next episode. No?
We won't. We're too busy.
Okay.
I'd love
All right. Well, enough of this silliness. Let's get down, Jason, to our closing statements. All right. This is part of the podcast where we rate this particular episode. We based it on a system of gavels. 1 gavel is a pretty lousy episode. 5 gavels means it was absolutely awesome. We will also explain our justification for the rating that we are going to give. I give this 4 gavels. I thought this was a really good episode. I really liked the acting. I thought the way that all of the actors portrayed their characters was really well done. I felt like there was some really good chemistry between Larry Wilcox and Andy Griffith, Robert Pine and Andy Griffith. Heck, I even think, David Lander and Tyler had some really good interaction as well. I thought the courtroom scenes were fantastic. They were tense. I like the idea that Ben lost a case and now he wants to fix that. He wants to have his redemption. I like that. The only really negatives that I could say is I didn't really like the vehicle of the constant thunderstorm and rain, and that Andrea's kind of dumb, with her, what? You killed him. So, Jason, what do you think? And what did you give this episode?
After hearing your review, I don't think we're allowed to agree with each other, so I feel like I should go 1 out of 4. But the problem is, I like this episode, and I do agree
1 out of
you.
4?
We are pushing at 4 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying, because we're never on the same page with these shows. But no, I always say that Matlock, as long as it has the comedy and the cheesy, I'm all in. But I like it when it has all of the dramatic elements hitting as well, too. And I felt like this episode really delivered on all the dramatic beats, that I didn't miss the shtick. I know I'm going to get Tyler's shtick in the next episode or the next one. Like, I know there's going to be plenty of that. But I really like that this episode was taken seriously, because again, it is Ben's second try at this trial. I feel like the comedy might have brought this episode down a little bit had they tried to throw it in there, because the stakes were higher, because Ben's trying to prevent the same mistake from happening twice. And I liked the acting. I liked watching Ben play the investigator a little bit more in this. And it's 4 out of 5.
All right. Well, let's talk about some other podcasting projects, social media, website, and all that jazz. I'll go first. You can catch me and my personal podcast, the PVD Cast, over at pvdcast.com or through any of those major podcasting platforms. Also, there's a live broadcast every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over at PVDcast. That's the Facebook page. And on Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it's replayed through the Scene Snobs Facebook page as well. Jason, how about 3 Geek Stuff?
You can find us everywhere. We are officially going to be on all of our own platforms tomorrow, as well as all of the Scene Snobs platforms. We are now playing in India and in Guam and Russia. We got big fans up there. And so, if you want to tune in and check out more of a comedy-based podcast surrounded around geek stuff. It used to be the other way around. It used to be more and like super nerdy, but now we've introduced comedy into the show, so it's fun. It's on another level when John's on it, though.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. With that, let's run down where you can get in touch with Jason or I if you have questions about this podcast, as some people have in the last couple of weeks. Of course, Facebook page is at Mattalk Podcast. Twitter account is at Mattalk_podcast. Jason, email address for anybody that wants to drop us a line?
BNMATTALK@gmail.com.
Come on, man. You got to do it a little slower than that. Come on.
That is BENMATTALK@gmail.com. That's @gmail.com. Not Matlock. If you put in Ben Matlock at gmail.com, you're going to get sent to somebody probably named Ben Matlock. you want to email it to benmattalk@gmail.com.
There you go. All right, Jason, with that, then, I think we should close up shop. How about it?
Let's go, man.
All right. And as they say in court, nothing further. The following has been a joint production of the Three Geeks Podcast and John Orlando Enterprises, LLC. Copyright 2020.